Gracious and Heavenly Father, Lord, we thank you for this day you've given us, God. We ask that you continue to be with all those affected by COVID. God, we ask that you be with our nation's leaders. Lord knows we need you more now more than ever. God, we ask that you be with this fiscal court. Help us make decisions that are pleasing to you, Lord. God, we ask that you lead, guide, and direct us in all that we do. In Jesus' name I pray. Amen.
Amen.
Nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
All right, we'll go ahead and call Morris County Fiscal Court to order September 7th, 2021. And our first guest, our EMS Director, Brian Cutzinger. Good morning, sir.
Hurting for guests if I'm number one.
Yeah.
Well, thank you, Judge, Commissioners. I won't take too much of your time. The reason I'm here today is because I've recently finished putting together bid specifications for the remount of our ambulance that we do annually. The ambulance that we bid out last year was recently completed, and I've been working with Corey and getting some of the things taken care of to go pick it up. So for this year, to begin this process, I put the bid specifications together. This money has been budgeted for an ambulance remount. So the reason I'm here today is to request approval to begin the process by putting an ad in the paper to solicit bids.
All right. We do this every year, so.
So moved.
Second.
All those in favor say aye. Aye. Any opposed? Motion carries.
Thank you, guys. Appreciate it.
Appreciate it.
Have a good one. Got all dressed up for a minute. Okay, if you want to.
We'll go to item B, Chad McCann. Good morning, sir. With Rivercrest.
Chad, see if you can beat his time.
Yeah. Probably not. I just came here to give you all an update this morning and see if you guys got any questions on any of the work that we've got going on. Been a couple weeks since been over here, but progress moving forward on the sewer project over here in Draftonville. Everything's moving right along. They should have the original scope of work, the gravity sewer, laid this week, getting across the road there at Easy Street, getting all that in. And then as of last week, we got the survey completed on the new extension between Easy Street and Elwood Gordon. So we're working on that design right now. Should have that completed probably this week or next, and be approaching property owners about the easements along their back lines, probably starting late next week or the week following, get ahead of MERTCO so they can start moving that direction on that section. I know electricians are over at the lift station site this week working over there. They're anticipating probably a couple weeks of work on the electrical, and maybe be ready to start that lift station up the weekend or week after next, probably schedule-wise right there. So moving right along. You guys have any questions? That's pretty well the update on the sewer project, but things are moving forward. As far as any property owners have a question on when they can tie on, getting that lift station started up really is the key to that. So maybe 3 weeks from now, that system will be charged and ready to go. I know they're working on some testing in the meantime, making sure all the manholes and sewer lines are tested. So as soon as that lift station goes online, again, hopefully in the next 2-3 weeks, then they'll be ready for property owners to start signing up, getting their taps made, and working with plumbers to get them hooked up to the new sewer.
All right. I know I'm getting ahead of myself here, but I know we've got our road department and our multi-facility buildings. That was also one of the advantages of this project, was to tie in those two buildings. I think the road department sewer or septic maybe, I wouldn't say bad, but it needs to be replaced. Let's just say that. So that's a good sign for us too.
Cleanouts are set on both those right now, so really just ready to make a connection whenever it goes online.
Okay.
So pretty good.
All right.
On that, just real quick, as far as KIA, I have called them and emailed them, but I haven't got any updates on the grant funding at this time. So I'll continue with that correspondence and try and get some information from them. And as I know, I'll pass that information on to y'all. I know there's a lot of projects out there in the county that are looking for funding, in all the cities and county areas. So I'll try to keep posted there.
Perfect. All right.
All right. And the only other update that I had on that line, I did meet with Hardin. Last I spoke with you all, I told you I was going to meet with Eddie Washam over there at Hardin and talk a little bit about the Hunter Road and Walnut Grove water projects. I did do that, and it's really two separate projects. Hunter Road, closest to old 641, kind of one piece of the puzzle, and then the Walnut Grove is the other piece of that puzzle. So I've got some information on that now, got some mapping put together on that, but really two projects. Looks like potential of around a dozen customers almost on the east side Walnut Grove area, and just two on the Hunter Road area. There's a lot of small diameter lines along Hunter Road, really 1-inch, 3/4-inch service lines that are hooked, and they're providing service to about 10 folks through there. Pretty inefficient, but that's something the city was wanting hopefully to do with this project, was to increase the level of service and get an actual water main along Hunter Road from old 641 over there. And yeah, that's, again, it's a two-piece project, but that's kind of what they're looking for. There's two people along the creek there that aren't currently served along Hunter Road, and those will be the two that be picked up, with that project.
That one on Walnut Grove, is that gonna include Glade Road and Gaslight Lane as well?
Yes, sir. Yes,
Okay.
sir. The biggest key there, you got to have a little more discussions with City of Benton. It's really kind of the interconnect between those two systems, as I mentioned last time. Level of service seems to be pretty good from Hardin. Just really kind of discussion with Benton and how they want to do that. If they want to interconnect the two lines and systems there. Right now, the only interconnect between Hardin and Benton is along 641. So if we do interconnect the two systems on Walnut Grove, it would require another meter and a way to monitor that water and who serves which customers, basically.
And that project with Oak Level that we discussed last time, is that going to lead to getting service down Mayfield Highway and Hauser Road from the back way eventually?
No, well, the first phase that we presented, it
Yeah.
would be more focused north of 408 and
Right.
not down to the south there. But the future, some of the expansions and extensions we looked at did include that area down there.
Right.
Yeah, a lot of work. And one other thing, I did get a phone call from a resident along Feeser Cemetery Lane out there, the west side of the county, just north of Simpsonia Highway. He mentioned that himself, I think this gentleman was actually building a house out there, getting ready to build a house, and said to him and his neighbors, there's about 4 of them in total, would be interested, if there was a project out there. It's not one that we had looked at, but they did mention that about 4 of them, it'd only be about a 1/4 mile worth of line to pick them up. But there are some people out there in that area of the world north of Simpsonia Highway that are interested in water over there. Any questions about any other projects we got going on? All right.
Appreciate
you.
I wasn't as quick as you.
Thanks, Chad. There's no correspondence. Old business, approved the minutes, August 17th meeting, 19th meeting, and August 30th special call meeting.
So moved.
Second. All those in favor say aye. Aye. Any opposed? Motion carries. New business, road department surplus.
There's the Freightliner bucket truck that we replaced. It's a 1997. Mileage is 163,903. We are asking to surplus it and to post it on Gov Deals to sell.
So moved.
Second.
There's second. All those in favor say aye. Aye. Any opposed? Motion carries. Item B, if you remember when Leonard Harp, the van coordinator for the veterans van, the carport for the veterans, where they're going to be parking the vehicle, they're wanting permission to put a carport over the vehicle to protect it. They're very proud of their vehicle, but we just need court's approval, or actually action, to let them put the carport there on the parking lot.
Move we approve.
Second.
All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Motion carries. Item C, animal control personnel.
I've had discussions with Autumn, the director at Animal Control. Since COVID shut everything down and inmates were no longer allowed to come out and do service, I mean, she lost probably 4 to 5 inmates per day, 8 to 5, Monday through Friday. And she's been functioning without them since then. So I've talked to her. She ultimately would like to move a part-time person to a full-time person. I've talked to, which I think I think that's articulated in just that she doesn't have the manpower, the labor to do what she used to do. I've talked to Erica. We looked at their foundation account. It won't support a full-time employee based on the pay alone, yes, but not all the fringe benefits, depending on health insurance, all those things. It would support a second part-time person. The only problem with a part-time person is they're always looking for a full-time position. So it seems like those kind of roll consistently. So I just wanted to put this in for discussion as far as how or if you wanted to look at trying to find funds to fund a full-time person, if you just wanted to include another part-time person. But I do think that she is limited on staff, and it's due to not having those inmates. And talking to Roger, I'm not sure that that's, if they're ever going to be out and about again to help out at the animal control. So
If it happens, it won't be anytime soon.
that's right. And for his operations too, I mean, he has to have somebody to supervise that person, those people, or our people would have to supervise those inmates, and I don't really feel comfortable with that setup either. So
If we put out for a part-time person, we gonna have a hard time getting applicants and things like that?
I don't know that we'll have a hard time getting applicants. I think we can find part-time people. It's just that once you hire those people, it's like they grab it, but then they're always looking for that full-time position somewhere. So it's harder to keep them, especially when you're working them 20, 25 hours a week.
So it's
Say
a
if we're gonna do it,
revolving
we-
door.
It really is. She has a part-timer right now that would be a good full-time person, but again, it really comes down to that budget, budgetary item.
So we're at on the pay scale would be level 1?
Yeah, it'd be a staff level 1 starting rate, the very base rate.
So you're saying, okay, so currently with the foundation account, it would only take care of the difference in pay, not any of the benefits.
Correct.
So you're looking at, what, $10,000 to $15,000, something like that, short?
Yep,
Somewhere in that neighborhood?
you're right there. Mm-hmm.
Okay. Well,
and
Erica's
that's
not-
also the variable is health insurance. That's the biggest variable is whether this person takes our health insurance or not. Of course, we can't ask them before they take the position whether they will or not. So that could swing $10,000 or $15,000 too.
Yeah. Yeah, I feel like it's deserved to be able to do, instead of another part-time, to have that part-time be full-time. But I just think we have to figure out budget-wise. I know I haven't seen anything from this since then, but I noticed where Keiko had mentioned maybe all of our 2020 workman's comp would be, that premium was coming back to us. Have you heard that?
All of it?
Yeah.
I know they discussed
I
it.
think-
I want to say, and
think our
Eric has
board-
got the number on that. It's not, yeah.
Is it not the full?
I'm trying to think what the amount was.
I had mentioned it to her, and I was thinking she told me it was north of 100.
Oh yeah, if it's our work comp premium for sure.
If it's the
Yeah.
entire, I don't know, but that's something to at least check into. That could be
Yeah.
a piece
Yeah,
that we could use.
I think we did get a check, but I don't think it was for the full amount. Yeah, it was like 15,000. But we can find out if
Yeah.
there's,
I mean, that could be an avenue
Which I
of
mean, if,
monies that we didn't know were unbudgeted receipts.
I mean, you could technically make a decision today how to handle it, and I mean, obviously that account's not gonna go to negative before we figure out where those funds can come from. So I wanted to at least give you the option for her operations, obviously, is more of the pressing issue. And then, later, or even when Erica gets here, we can discuss that further. But however you guys want to do it, I just wanted to put it on for discussion and how you want to handle it.
Brad, do you know, has the part-time employee been there quite a while?
Haley is the one that we just hired. She was hired. Hang on 6/9 of 21, so just this past June. And she's currently at $10.70 an hour. But yeah, she's expressed interest, and Autumn has said that she would be a good candidate for that full-time position, so.
I'm fine with it. I just think we gotta figure out where to get the money from. I think that's gonna depend on talking to Erica.
I think she said that there was about 20,000 from the donation account that hadn't been allotted to this budget. So there's your piece there. And then the additional would just have to depend on how much that person would cost us.
Well, I know that there's work needed there. That's for sure. I don't have a problem with a part-time going to full-time. That's probably the animal shelter is one of our least expensive departments in our budget. They've done an outstanding job using the donation account to cover some of their expenses. They do not ask for much. I think 6 years I've been here, this is the first time that they've actually asked for a part-time to go full-time that I'm aware of.
And it's taken a year and a half until she was actually like, we really need help. So
Yeah.
I agree.
And Erica will be here. We can get more into the details. I mean, we have monies to cover it. We just need to figure out where that what pot of monies we're going to pull from. I don't think there's an issue of not funding this position from a part-time to a full-time.
So if that's would it be a motion to move Haley Sparks from part-time to full-time at her current rate? That's what I'm asking.
If there was a motion, I would make that motion to move her from part-time to full-time.
Is that a motion from you?
Mm-hmm.
I'll second it.
All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Aye. Any opposed? Motion carries.
Thank you. I know Autumn will appreciate that, and we can worry about the details of that money later.
Item D, the CDBG grant, if the court remembers, this was the utilities back helping with the customers with our utility companies that were behind. We were approved for $200,000 for a CDBG grant to help our utilities with their customers. This is the legal binding agreement. I typically read these in full. Do I got to read this thing in full? This thing's, we've done the resolution. This is just a required document, typical with the CDBG.
Yeah, we've heard this language before.
Mm-hmm. So, again, we've been preliminary approved, if the court approves this, for $200,000 for utilities assistance, and that'll be going, the PAD has been instrumental as well as helping carry out this actual grant. So I just need court's approval for me to sign this agreement, which is a legal binding agreement.
So moved.
Second.
All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Motion carries. Let's go to item E, lease renewal, probation and parole.
So we got this in the mail last week, I guess. Yeah, whenever. And which it seems like it's really early because it doesn't expire until June. So the new one would go in. No wait, yeah. So the new one would go in place 2022 of July. But apparently, what we are getting from them is $8,600 for the annual amount for the probation parole lease. That is negotiable. That rate is negotiable. And the gentleman I talked to at the AOC, or no, actually it was Department of Corrections, threw out a number between $10 and $12 per square foot. And I think right now it's $866 is what they're so we don't have to make a decision today, or you all don't have to make a decision today, and I was going to show Jason, just make sure he was aware of it, but we need to have this back by September, where did I see that date? September 20th of 2020, no wait, no later. Yeah, it says September 20th, 2021.
Then we do need to.
Yeah. He acted like, when I talked to him on the phone, he acted like it wasn't a big rush, but.
Yeah, evidently,
Yeah, he said, yeah, it's not a big deal, just whenever, we just need it back by, so. I say,
do we need to give you an amount to send back to
That's-
request?
that's what, he said
Well-
it's negotiable.
I mean, if it's negotiable between 10 and 12, I say 12.
12.
Yeah.
So I make a motion that we send it back
Where
and
did that
request
$12 come
$12.
from?
He said that, he was kind of like, yeah, this is a really favorable amount. And I was like, I didn't even know it was negotiable. He's like, oh yeah, we usually pay between $10 and $12 per square foot to the AOC. And I was like, well, why? I mean, this is now just being told to us. So he was free with that information. This is the person actually, that I'll send back correspondence with. So
Okay.
I can do that.
So there's a motion for 12. Second. All those in favor say aye. Aye. Any opposed? Motion carries. Item F.
And we'll take
ordinance-
no less than that. You let him know.
Got it.
Ordinance 2021-06, speed limit, Flyaway Drive, first reading. This is a speed limit ordinance, be it ordained by the Fiscal Court of Marshall County, Commonwealth of Kentucky, in accordance with the provisions set forth in KRS 189-390, subparagraph 5 and A, and based upon the requests of affected citizens and after review by the Marshall County Road Superintendent, Marshall County Sheriff, the Marshall County Fiscal Court does hereby set the speed limit at 15 miles per hour for Flyaway Drive located in Marshall County, Kentucky. For the foregoing ordinance shall be published in the Tribune Carrier, first reading on 7 September 21. We'll go to item G, county appropriations, to the PVA for FY 21-22. August 20th, 2021, final county appropriations to the Property Evaluation Administrator, Fiscal Court, 2021 fiscal year, 2021-2022. Dear Honorable Neil, KRS 132-590, subparagraph 9, requires each county fiscal court to annually appropriate and pay to the Office of the Property Evaluation Administrator funds sufficient to cover the county's use of property assessments. The amount to be paid is determined according to the formula established in KRS 132-590, subparagraph 9, and in accordance with the limitations established in KRS 132-590, subparagraph 10. In a letter dated April 21, 2021, the Department of Revenue Office of Property Evaluation advised you of the estimated appropriation for fiscal year 2021-2022. The 2021 assessment of property subject to tax has now been certified for your county based upon the certified assessment, an amount of $100,700 should be appropriated and paid to the Property Evaluation Administrator's Office for fiscal year 2021-2022 in accordance with the statutes referenced above. This amount represents a zero difference in the amount estimated in our letter of April 21 to 2021. The total appropriation and statutory authorities are as follows. Statutory appropriation per KRS 139 or 132,590, subparagraph 11 and 12, 100,000. Inspection period advertisement per KRS 133,045, subparagraph 2, $400. Annual education conference per KRS 131, 140, subparagraph 4, $300. For a subtotal of $100,700. Let's see, we're going to need a motion to pay the PVA $100,700.
So moved.
Second.
Second, all those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Aye. Any opposed? Motion carries. Item H, tax rates. Should have got a copy of these.
So next time we'll get everyone else's, is that correct? Or by next?
We're waiting on the refuse. I believe their meeting is a week from today. And one of the other districts, which also has a meeting 1 week from today.
Okay. So do we need to approve this today or approve it with all the other tax rates? How do we?
I think we can review it today. We don't have
Review
to
it today
approve
and
it.
approve
Yeah.
it with all the others, okay.
Yeah, we meet the 21st.
21st, yeah.
No.
We should have,
Everybody else's.
I think she said the 17th was born.
All right, so you guys will set your rate, and then the next meeting will have a tax rate ordinance that has everybody's on it.
Yeah.
And there is a law change for this year where the fiscal court has to vote to approve if any taxing district wants to go 4% or over their compensating rate.
Yeah, and we discussed this. I think we're going to ask them to, because we reached out to DLG, we're going to ask those taxing districts how they came up with their assessment. And then, I think we should encourage them to reach out to DLG if they need assistance on that. And then that way, when it's presented back to the court, we'll see how they assessed their tax rate.
So they don't receive something from the DLG like us, basically saying, here's
We do,
your.
and the Soil Conservation
suggested-
District does, and there's one other district that receives a DLG calculation. The others are
The
upon
others are
request
just
only.
On their own. Okay.
I mean, every district can set their own, but the soil just gets a calculation from DOT what the compensating rate is, so that they know. We don't have to approve that. If they try to go over the 4% rate, yes. The only ones that are exempt from the fiscal court approving over 4% rate are the fire department districts, and then two other kinds of districts that we don't have in this county.
Yeah, so I think it would be fair that they show us how they assess their tax rate. It's not so much an approval, but if they present a tax rate in front of us, they should be able to show us how they assessed it. And DLG can help them. Should help them. if they need help. Now, I'm not saying that they need help, but I think that that's fair that we see how they compensate their rate. Our compensating rate did drop from 9.4 to 9.2.
And you could keep 9.4 if that's what you wanted without having to have a hearing, just to let you know.
We can go to 9.2.
Yes.
Yeah.
So to not have a hearing, you have to stay below 9.5.
That's up if the court wants to keep it at 9.4. Or take the 9.2.
Make sure you review, I think this may be the third page as well. You also have to set the motor vehicle rate, so just keep that in mind for us to talk about. And it has on there what it was previously.
So let me make sure that I'm understanding. So we just trying to review it this morning. Even with the compensating rate of 9.2, because of the increase in property values over the last year, we would still be at a 2.296 for revenue over and above the 1.957.
So last year with the 9.4, our revenue was, if you look on the
Is it
PDF
compensating
doesn't
rate?
tell me what page it is, but it's the page where they do all the calculations. At that rate, we got 1,957,000.
Yeah.
And they're estimating we'll get 1,990,000 if we go with the compensating rate. So they do allow a little bit of a difference. It's not the compensating rate isn't set to exactly get what we got last year. It's what we got plus a little bit more usually.
Okay, now, hang on a second. Look at that one, though, says item 5, which is the 2021 total property subject to rate. That, you're right, on the 2020 times 9.2 would be just a small increase, but the 2021 at the 9.2 would be a $300,000 increase still. You see what I'm saying? I don't know if we're looking at the same page, but it says item 5, and item 5 is 2021 total property subject to rate.
2,496,000.
Yes, 2 billion, yeah.
Yes, I'm sorry. And then what was your second question?
Well, is that not the figure?
That's the figure of what our total property subject to the rate is. And the breakdown of that is on the first, the breakdown of all of everything is on the first page, as far as what makes up those numbers. To be honest, any really in-depth questions you'd have about why they did this, you'd have to ask DLG since it comes from them and they do all the calculations.
Yeah, I see what you're saying. It's like two different numbers. And they don't have page numbers, so it's difficult for me to tell you. But under section 1, y'all are looking at something else, aren't you?
No, we're trying to look at the
Are
same
you
thing
trying
as
to figure, okay, so under section 1, if you
At the
say
top.
check for the minimum, right there.
Yes, that's
Okay.
what we're looking at.
2.4 times 9.2 is 2 point, yeah, you know what I'm saying, is 2.296. And then you go to the next page, and it calculates it as 1.1 or 1.99.
Yep. I see that as well.
I don't think the calculator on my cell phone goes up to $2 billion, so I'll be able to. Let me try it in my head real quick.
You tried it.
I tried, didn't work.
Click on that thing.
Do you want me to get a more in-depth explanation from DLG on this and send it to you in an email?
I just like to see, I mean, if, because it's obviously a large difference, so to be able to decrease your rate and still increase your revenue by 300,000 is quite exciting to
Yes.
me versus decrease your rate and increase your revenue. You're gonna increase your revenue regardless, but by the difference in 30,000 or 330,000 is substantial.
I can get a more detailed explanation of this from them on how they calculate everything. There's another page of calculations at the end. I don't know if that will answer any of your questions.
It
Very
could, I
small
just
lettering.
haven't had, just getting it.
Is that in this, Erica?
Yes, it's in the PDF that's attached to the commissioner queue. I feel like it's the last page, but it's very light colored. It's hard to see. It's when
Yeah.
it came to us, but it's more of their calculations.
I mean, it makes sense that it would be this, because we've seen an incredible
Yeah.
increase in prices in the last, just over the last year, but definitely over the last 2 years. So I can totally see that it would,
I think it's a difference of about $40,000 between 9.2 and 9.4.
If you look based on the differences between the their calculations on what we're receiving, 9.2
Yeah.
and 9.5.
yes,
But
that's
then
true.
their calculations down below that,
Yes.
to me, don't make sense.
That's true. I'm just looking at it from the entire amount. What you're going to receive is a $300,000 difference in what one page says and what another page says.
Property?
It's not the difference between 9.2 and 9.4. It's the difference in what
Values have increased.
is the value that you're using.
You mean what they've given us the property values?
Right.
I could pull the old letter and you could look at the difference between last year's letter and this year's letter.
Okay. That'd be good. All right, I think it's the 2.404801, 235 versus 2.496. I see it. It's number 3 versus number 5. So it's an increase in 96 or 90, of $92 million.
Okay, I've dropped last year's in there for you too, in the drive too, if you want to just double check what you're.
I think I bet that's what it is. I see it now.
Property value going up must mean it was a good year for realtors.
It means that realtors have done their job very well over the last year, and I'm very proud
Millionaire money.
of all of those.
Proud of your money.
I noticed some jumps in some other of the areas too, like, we have more aircraft value by a significant amount this year than last year, so I'm guessing people are buying some planes.
Say that to my fence.
Yes, don't.
More expensive.
I think it's from Calvert City building those hangars in Devon. An Air Force. Lloyd bought a jet.
Wow. Yeah, it's not the one I was looking at. I don't know. What that means.
So Monty, you would still like me to get additional information from DLG on
No,
calculations? Because I think now I realize your question wasn't on calculation, it was on the valuation?
Yes.
Okay.
Yeah, it's more about the valuation. I feel like that whatever the figure that we're looking at, even if we keep it at 9.2, it's gonna increase our revenue, but I feel like that is actually gonna be a larger amount than even what they
Calculated.
have calculated on here, based on what I'm seeing, so. All right.
Am I hearing we want to keep the 9.2
I would make that
or go
motion.
to 9.2? Is there a second? All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Aye. Any opposed? Motion carries. Item I, reschedule October 5th meeting. I think we run into this with fall break. Most folks are obviously out of school and not here. So if we want to discuss moving the 5th up a week to the following, let me see what day that actually will fall, or what week that will fall under. The week of the 11th. Or we could do it on October 1st, which is a Friday. Doesn't matter to me.
I can't do Friday.
Can't do Friday?
What about the 12th?
Works for me.
I'm here, yeah.
Same time?
Get this fancy. Yep. That's good.
We're good? Okay, so we'll move October's scheduled court meeting on the 5th which will be the second Tuesday on the 12th. So we'll move that to the 12th of October. And that'll be at 9:30. You good with that, Denise? Does that need a motion? I can't remember. So we need a motion.
So moved.
Second. All those in favor say aye. Aye. Any opposed? Motion carries. Item J, transfers. We've got some discussion.
Okay. The first one I'll do is the one that doesn't really need a discussion, that way we can get it out of the way, and that's the bank transfers from the occupational tax to all of the funds. Those are all for budgeted transfers that we already had prepared for the year at budget time. So there's one to the general fund, 315,000, one to the road, 100,000, one to the jail, 100,000, one to 911, 50,000, one to the sheriff's fund, which is in the general fund bank, and it's 200,000. And there's a little update on the side, so you can kind of keep account of how close we are to what we budgeted so far that we've moved.
Move we approve the transfers.
Second.
All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Aye. Any opposed? Motion carries. Go ahead.
Okay, so on the appropriation transfers, again, I'll get the easiest thing out of the way. There's a transient tax transfer, $75,618.66. And I made a little note out to the side because I figured y'all would ask. That's for the last 2 weeks of July and all of August. And then for the actual transfers, the first set of 3 there are to move monies out of the fuel line and into other county building maintenance and repairs and maintenance for the courthouse, for things that have come up. And then the plan is to, we have received our KCO unemployment premium refund. They got it out really quickly after KCO announced that they'd be refunding it. It's $15,024.06. And I'll amend that right back into the fuel so that the fuel doesn't end up short at the end of the year. And then we have some transfers out of the general fund investments into capital projects, and that's for bills that have come through for the Draffenville sewer. So for additional discussion, we're going to continue to have repairs bills out of other county building maintenance and repairs and maintenance for the courthouse. I know that since we looked at this, we've already had to have somebody come down and work on something in the basement, which we haven't gotten a bill for yet. We have other air conditioners problems, and I know the sheriff's office, what we did so far is just a Band-Aid. We've already gone through our budget for those funds for the year because of all these unexpected things. And then we have the normal items that always go through there. For example, our elevator contract for this building is about $5,000 a year. So at this point, we've used that budget up, and so we know for sure we're going to have that expense, and then we'll have more repairs. We're only a couple months into the year, and there's still a lot to repair. So we need to figure out what we want to do going forward for that. It does cause an issue for Court. Corey puts in the purchase orders and payment requests for those items, for the maintenance items, and she can never put those in when it's going to cause it to be over budget. So we have to have a discussion in court every time before we can put in a purchase order to say, fix whatever happened downstairs that had to come be worked on.
And we've got some of our, I know we've discussed this in previous meetings, our assets, taking consideration the building that we own, the county owns, that we have an agreement with the senior citizens. They no longer, they've cut all the utilities off. They meet at the Joe Creason building, and it's been, how long? I mean,
Yeah, I think after they started meeting, after they shut down from COVID, they started meeting probably back in the early summer. And they said they have no intent to reconvene at the Benton Senior Citizens Building.
The issue is when we turn off our utilities. I know we sent the maintenance crew down to take a look at it. basically gave correspondence back to us that it was in bad shape. So, I mean, we've got our assets that are just old. We've got, I know there's a fundraising event for the Hardin Center. It's old. The 18th. And the jail, the sheriff's department, it's old. All these facilities are old. And in my opinion, some of them, when we talk about energy efficient compared to real evaluation of our assets, we're going to have some serious discussions. We're going to have some serious discussions. We've got infrastructure that's old, just from the boiler, which I think there's 3 down at the jail. An average cost for a boiler is about $250,000. And when you look at 3 of them, if 3 of them were to go out, I mean, we're looking at $1 million. So, or close to $1 million. Anyways, it's just something that we really need to look at and start thinking about as we move forward. Just as we see with the accounts right now, even though we budgeted, we've already expended those accounts in the 4th month of this new fiscal year. I think the biggest question is where we're going to pull the monies from, and I want to just remind the court that retirement's going up. There's still an increased cost that's going to be coming our way. If we stay true to the 10-year 48%, I think there's an additional 17%, not knowing, I think last year was at 7%. So it could be 7%, it could be lower, it could be higher, but there's still that increased cost for retirement. AOC, we pay our debt off 2022, that 4% to 2%. I think that's going to be, what were we, 232? So you can just cut that in half. So we got these increased costs that are going to be coming our way. These are long-term costs. These unfunded mandates that are put on the county. I did just some rough math. It's over $5 million as far as what we, as the fiscal court, what we pay. I know my association at the governor's conference, we met and we discussed, for the next legislation. I don't know what the outcome's going to be. It seems like it's a revolving wheel in discussions as far as trying to help out the fiscal courts across the state with these issues. But we really do have some old infrastructure that has to be dealt with because it's nickel and diming our purse. So that's the rainy Tuesday morning that I'm bringing to you, the cloudy.
And, I just want to add, as far as, yes, there are long-term things we need to talk about, but I know that Corey would be upset with me if I didn't say, we will have bills that she cannot put in for the next court meeting when we get the thing for downstairs and whatever else is going on. So, if you have a little short-term solution you want to talk about right now for the next 15 grand worth of bills that we can go ahead and do a transfer for today, so that we'll be able to pay the bills that are coming in the next 2 weeks, that'd be great.
I know it's not much in the grand scheme of things, but Jacob was able to get $3,000 out of a claim on an estate. So that check cleared. Yep.
Yes.
Yeah.
Forgot about that. So I can amend that in when we do our first budget amendment also, wherever we end up needing it, wherever we take something from here in a second.
So Before you got in here, we were talking about the unemployment, and unfortunately, that does not,
It's already gone.
yeah, it's already gone at this point based on your transfer. Thank you very much.
This is what happens
Well,
when
that was
when I'm
that
15
was,
minutes late.
No, we discussed all that.
Oh,
We
okay.
discussed like that it was not funded. You know, there was part of it on the donation account that we could fund it if we could do a part-time person, we could say we could full-time. And I recommended it, but also said that we can find that extra amount to go somewhere.
Okay, but you didn't say where you wanted it to come from.
Well,
So we need to do that too, talk that discussion too. There's no tree. Sorry.
So I did not read the entire, I mean, I didn't see exactly, they didn't give an amount or anything like that. So you're saying that 15,000 is all that we're getting? So it
Yeah, I mean, we
wasn't
pay
the
Keiko a lot of
entire-
other premiums, but they only refunded the unemployment portion, which was only 15 grand.
Okay, all right. Well, I thought, man, if it was
Yeah, when you and I first talked about it, I was
100,000
like, oh, I think that's going to
Wow,
be that
that'd
big
be-
premium they're giving back. No.
right, it's not the entire, okay. All right, so that 15 is
Is
the 15, okay. Okay.
yeah.
Have you guys discussed the bill for what you called me for this morning? This
No, that is the lateral line
We
extension.
might as well have that conversation as well, because we need to know where that money needs to come from.
And that's just short of 10,000. That's tying on the road department and the multi-facility.
Do we not have, I mean, can that not be
I know, I think the
bond?
road can cover a portion of it, right? Or no?
Well, I mean, the road department, I mean, we could pull it out of the road department budget, but it was like $7,400 for the tying on the road department, and there's like $2,400 to tie on.
You
the
may run the risk,
multi-facility.
though, there of them getting closer to the end of the year and having a problem from wherever they pull it from and needing more into that line.
So just to do some rough numbers here, roughly 10,000 for the lateral lines to tie on the two facilities. The accounts that we typically pull from for our buildings, our maintenance, it's depleted in the fourth month of this. It's early in September. So we roughly have 8 months to go. So we need either a temporary amount to move to cover, and we really don't know what amount. I know downstairs they were looking at another unit in this facility.
I think that's what they were working on Friday.
Yeah.
Corey, do you know, did they ever give you any really solid information?
We'll say, I think it was 5,600, which is required. If we have an elevator, that's required. So that contract that we have, we've paid the 1/4, so it's like 32.
Yeah.
Yeah. So you're looking at roughly 13,000 just between the lateral lines, the elevator, and then you figure 8 months of routine maintenance on all of our facilities. Yeah, so that's, we have, no, we have HMC, which is who we have to go and check the units. That's 8,000, so that's those are the one that they went down to. Yeah. And these HMC is, I mean, they've been down to the sheriff's department in the current 911 center. So we got another bill that's coming because the unit was out. We don't know what that cost is, but right now it's 8,000 for the trips that they have made. Yeah, which, mhm. You're talking just to cover bills that we know we have, 28,000 would be,
And then the full-time, or part-time to full-time, that you guys talked about earlier. And that's
Yes.
gonna be effective immediately. Clearly, all of the cost of that won't be immediate, but it will immediately start.
yeah. As far as the monies to cover that, the amounts that I'm throwing out right now are just for the maintenance and repairs, the current numbers that we know we have. And then if we want to put an additional monies into those accounts that, or those lines that are depleted to cover us either, 6 months, 8 months, whatever we want to choose.
Did that figure that you just gave include the Mertco?
Mm-hmm.
Okay.
Yeah. Yeah, so that included the Merco, the elevator, HMC, what we currently have, and there's still one pending. And then the 4,000. 4,800, so. So about 28 would cover what we have currently.
So let's go back to the fuel, please, because that's not something first time hearing. Explain it to me again, why we're taking the 15 and doing something for.
The fuel just has a really big line, and we have a lot of year left. So we have time to take from that and put it back with the amendment. So that KCO check, we just can't immediately start using. Clearly it's in the bank and we are using the cash. But as far as using it in a budgeted line, it has to be amended in. So we have to do a budget amendment, 2 readings, all of that, advertising. So that takes.
But what's that have to do with fuel? So why fuel?
The reason the amount is $15,024.06 out of fuel is because that's exactly how much we got in the KCO check, and I'll put it exactly back into fuel, so it'll be like fuel was never touched. Does that make sense?
No, it doesn't.
So
Are we over on fuel? Is that
No.
what you're saying?
No, fuel, we're only 3 months into the year, that we have, 9 months left of fuel budgeting. It's a very large item, so it's easy to take out of there for now and it not affect that line item for the month or so it takes us to have a budget amendment.
Okay.
So I'm taking from there, and with the budget amendment, I will put it right back, and fuel budget will be like it was when you said it, at the budget workshop. Did I explain it better that time? Hopefully.
Well, it just, to me, it's money that now can't be used for this 28,000, right? Is that what you're saying?
Basically, yeah, it's,
Because we're.
in the end, you're gonna be using it for the same thing. You're gonna be using it for repairs and maintenance. So what this appropriation transfer today accomplishes is to basically borrow from the fuel line until we get the, for the maintenance lines, until we get the KCO money amended back in. And what's going in there today covers, a couple of bills that are already waiting, there was an additional cost on the roof repair, because they found damage that they didn't expect to find.
That is outside of this 28,000.
No.
No, it is inside.
Yeah.
Okay,
It's included
so-
in what's happening already on my transfers. And then what we're talking about with Judge is completely separate from any transfer we've had so far. It's additional money. The problem is that we have air conditioners dropping like flies, and then there's other stuff going,
I know,
going
I'm
down.
just trying to, I'm trying to get my head around, is that 15,000 going to help this 28,000? And I think you're saying yes, and
No.
then you're saying no.
No.
So no.
So what I have in this transfer to put $8,000 into other county building maintenance and $7,000 into repairs and maintenance courthouse, that's to cover bills that are in the bills today for you to approve. And Judge is talking about other bills that are gonna come in the next 2 to 3 weeks. So when you were giving him calculations, you gave ones that we already have in here? Okay, so, I'm sorry, Corey and I were not on the same page.
Those both of your answers, yes, no? Yes. Okay.
Yeah, so that's just to cover what we have pending. The lines that we use for the maintenance to go out and fix something, that line is depleted. So we're going to have to put something in that line beyond the 28,000 roughly that we just discussed. The question that I ask is, do we want to do a temporary amount, or do we want to try to put amount in that line that will cover us for the next 8 months? The good thing is that, as we move through this fiscal year, obviously we'll have a better understanding the closer we get to the end of the year, what our receipts are going to be. So, but right now, I don't think it's efficient going, I know everybody knows this, going court meeting to court meeting, trying to put monies into this line when we know that something's going to pop up and it's a $4,000 price tag. So really the question is how much do we want to move into that line for maintenance? And where do we want to pull it from? The previous years, can you pull up and talk about what we typically budget in those lines? Maybe that'll help.
We did budget this year what we budgeted last year. Last year was also a COVID budget. It just wasn't one of the items that was discussed. I mean, there wasn't a department head to come and ask for more money in those lines. So we didn't really change that. And then as far as like a pre-COVID budget, let me tell you what that would have been. So courthouse repairs and maintenance, which this year was 5,000, in the past would have been budgeted closer probably to 15 or 20,000. And then other county buildings, maintenance and repair, which was budgeted at 10 this year, has used up to 30 in the past couple of years. Now, sometimes what that would look like is what's happening now, where, you guys had whatever budgeted, say 15, and then we moved some more money in because of, some unforeseen repair. I know last year and the year before that, when we moved money in, most often that money came out of items like fuel or utilities because they always came in, they came in under the past couple of years. You can't bank on that happening, you know. We don't know what gas is gonna do. We don't know what our utilities are gonna look like.
Let me make a suggestion. If we do the 28,000, that'll cover the current expenses. We still don't know what HMC, their last trip to the sheriff's department, what that amount's going to be, but there's about $25,000 to $3,000 in that 28 that should cover that. If we, in addition to 28, if we put another 15,000 to get us in to any, we don't know what downstairs, what that's going to cost, but that should cover anything that came up with the unit downstairs. And then that should give us more time to look a little bit more in depth as far as where we want to pull monies. Now, just throwing that out there, and if we want to round it up to make it easier math, instead of 28, we could do 30, and that'll be a total of 45. Everybody following? So the question is, if we were to do this, where's the 45,000 coming from? Now, Eric has already talked about the CAECO, 15,000. I don't want to muddy the water on this, but that's basically the monies are coming in as the monies are going out. My math, we'd have to figure out where 30,000 is coming from.
If you would like to do it that way, yep.
If the court
Have a little extra in it.
would like to do it that way.
So, let's say 10 of that is this new Mertco deal. Do we have any, considering that is part of that project, 911 and road department, I mean, we're using that bond money for the Draftonville West sewer project. Is there any funds there that we could at least pull that money from?
Now, the lateral lines are to our buildings, so I don't know if that would fall
Well,
under the,
I mean, you would think at least the 911 piece of it would, because it's what's different, and you know what I mean? I mean, it's,
no, I'm just asking, with the bonds, it was for sewer lines. I mean, this is basically our facilities, our multi-facility and the road department tying in. I think what Monty's asking is, would the bonds cover?
Well, I mean, if those two facilities are hooked on, then you've moved on down the road a little bit. So in the future, if you wanted to expand even further down, you're that much further down. So, I mean, I think it would be okay to use those for that.
And the answer is yes, there are bond monies to cover that. So stick with me here. If the 15 from Keiko is part of the original 28, we're going to put 10 in bonds. That's 25.
How much did you say Jacob was retrieving for something?
3,000.
We got 3,000 out of filing a claim against an estate on a burial.
We're at 20, right, based on your 45. 20
Well,
left to find.
I'm talking about what we have outstanding right now. So we're at 25, and I gave a little bit of cushion because of what we don't know HMC is going to charge, but the difference is could be the 3,000 that Jacob had identified. So that would get you the 28.
On the 3,000, I would say not to use that because we had to pay out more than we budgeted for burials. So that needs to go back to cover that. Does that
Okay.
make sense?
So those are already
Yes,
used.
those caused our burial line to be more than what it normally
Okay.
is by a large amount of money.
Okay, do you have another $3,000?
We do. I mean, and I want to make sure folks understand that it's not that we don't have
Right.
monies. It's just
Where to take
where
it
to
from.
take it from, yes. So with the Keiko and the bonds, that's 25,000, and I'm talking about the
The 28.
28. So we would need 3,000, and that's not going to be. We have, and again, if the court wants to do 15,000 for the maintenance line, we would be looking at 18,000 total. To make 45, that 18 would be 20.
Yep.
So we've got, we can put 15,000 into that maintenance line. Obviously, that's a moving target. We don't know what's going to break. We don't know what's going to happen, but at least that can get us some monies in that line to cover us over the next couple of weeks or couple of months. We can pull 20,000. I know we've used the insurance monies. I think the original amount was, just a little over 400,000.
I think we've pulled about 28 already out of it, 28 or 30, let's say.
So that's a line that we can pull from.
That sounds fair to me. Especially to be able to not have to every, worry about that and wait for 3 weeks on something that has to be done today.
Yeah, and that's, so folks understand a budget amendment, like what Erica was talking about. I mean, that takes advertisement. I mean, it just takes time. That's the difference between how government process and, say, your private business. The difference, it takes time. So when we have a line that is depleted because of unforeseen expenses, here we are. So 20,000 should, if we move that from the insurance monies that we got, that will put 15,000 in the maintenance line, and that should cover us for any unforeseen for a short term. And then
So just to clarify, 10 out of the bond and into the sewer road tie-on, 20 out of the fire money and into the county, other county buildings and courthouse repair. And then the 15 into other county buildings and courthouse repair.
yes,
So for a total of 45.
Yes.
yes.
So moved.
Is there a second?
Second.
All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Aye. Any opposed? Motion carries. Bills and claims. Is there any reason to deny payment of the bills or claims? Hearing none, let the clerk record that the bills, claims are to be paid. Adjourn.
So moved.
All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Aye. Any opposed? Motion carries.